Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. I hope you like this video. And hit that subscribe button. So, I'm going to talk about in this video the players that are going to be that are free agents now in Major League Baseball, and what teams are rumored to be interested in them, and who is going to sign where. I'm going to give my best guess. I'm not Nostradamus, I'm not a prophet, but I'll give you an idea where I think some of these guys are going to go. Now, yeah, long list. And it's not only players that are free agents, but also some players that are on the trading block. And it's a long list. It's going to get longer as we go along and more rumors come up. But this is about as long of a list as I've done in a while. So here we go. Number one, in the red corner, let's start at the very top. Juan Soto. New York Mets and New York Yankees will be meeting with him this week or next week in California. And they're going to talk. And the Mets are going to send Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, and the Yankees will send Hal Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees, to discuss what he's looking for. Other teams mentioned: the Cubs, the Phillies, San Francisco, Seattle, Toronto, the Dodgers, and Washington. Now you're going to ask me, who's he going to sign with? Okay, this is the early preliminary thoughts on that. It is very close to call. It is almost like a coin toss, because he's been with the Yankees for a year. He enjoyed his time in the Bronx. But the Mets have the money. So I say it's 50-50 chance. It's a 50-50 chance. That's how I look at it. I know it's a cop-out. It's 50-50. And he has a qualifying offer. Next up, Corbin Burnes, who's with the Baltimore Orioles, was with the Milwaukee Brewers for many, many years. He has a qualifying offer on him. I see certain teams attached to him. Mets, obviously, because of David Stearns, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Red Sox, and the Cubs. Where do I think he'll go? Shot in the dark. I say the Red Sox right now, because they've been all over the pitching. Next up, Pete Alonso. Where's Pete going to go? He's got a qualifying offer. Qualifying offer means that the team that loses the player will get draft compensation. Pete Alonso, we had the Mets, the Cubs, San Diego, Yankees, Milwaukee, Seattle, Houston, and the Washington Nationals. I'm going to say right now, his chances of re-signing with the New York Mets is less than 35%. Between 40% and 35%. So that's dropping. People are still predicting that he's going to re-sign with the Mets. I am not so sure of that. So I'm going to throw out a team here that I think he'll probably sign with. I don't believe Houston will be in on it, because they supposedly did not spend any money this offseason, as well as Texas. I'm going to put out there the Nationals. That's who I see him. That's where I see him going right now. I could be wrong. I'd like to see him come back with the Mets. I'm a big fan of his, but I don't see him coming back here. Next up is Alex Bregman. He's got a qualifying offer. I see him going back to the Astros. That's where he should stay. Certain places should stay in certain places. That's the guy that should stay there. And he said he'll play second base. Willie Adames, qualifying offer attached to him, is with the Brewers. I've heard the Dodgers, the Giants, the Mets very prominently the last few days, the Yankees, the Braves, and the Tigers. I'm going to say the Mets. I think the Mets will get him. Especially if they lose Pete Alonso. And they've been very aggressive with him. It's rumored that they've been very aggressive with him. Supposedly they've offered him a contract already. Supposedly. Shane Bieber. I've heard the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Yankees. There's a question mark with him because he has an injury. He can go to any team that's willing to wait out a year, or at least half a year, to wait for him to come back. He's come back with Tommy John surgery. Next up, Jack Flaherty, who's bounced around last year or so. He started with the Cardinals, went to Baltimore, pitched in, the hell he pitched last year? Detroit, and then he got traded to the Dodgers. I heard the Dodgers, the Mets, the Angels, Yankees, and Detroit. I think he'll resign with the Dodgers because his agent is CAA, and they're all based out in California. Blake Snell, where's he going to go? I've heard the Yankees, San Diego, the Dodgers, the Mets, Boston, Baltimore, San Francisco, and Detroit. Where will he go? It's kind of up in the air with him. I kind of see him. I know it's another cop-out. I don't think he'll be going to the Mets. I don't think he'll be going to the Yankees. I don't think the Dodgers will sign him. I see him going back to the Giants. Sung Kim, shortstop for the Padres. I've heard the Padres, the Dodgers, the Mets, Seattle, Los Angeles, that's the Angels, the White Sox, and the Houston Astros. I don't know what the Houston Astros are on here, but they just are. Where will he go? I can see him going to the Dodgers, especially if they lose Adames. Because, the last year or so, Adames, I've been pushing him to go to the Dodgers because they need a shortstop, even though they won the World Series. Kim would be a good player there. Anthony Santander played with Baltimore. He's got a qualifying offer attached to him. I heard the Mets, the Cubs, Seattle, Houston, Milwaukee, Toronto, San Francisco, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and the Yankees. I see two teams being very aggressive on the free agent market. One is Detroit, and the other is Kansas City. I think he'll go to Kansas City. Matt Chapman, we know he signed with the Giants. Will Smith, the pitcher. I haven't heard anything, but I put the Mets down. Max Kepler, the Mets, if they lose Soto and they re-sign Pete Alonso, or they bring in Willie Adames, I can see Max Kepler, the Mets. I don't see any other team yet with him. We got Ross Stripling, Justin Turner, Max Scherzer, Max Fried. He's got a qualifying offer on him. I mentioned about Anthony Santander. He's got a qualifying offer. Max Fried, I've heard the Mets, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Yankees, Boston, Baltimore, and Toronto. I could see him going to, let's see, Baltimore. I could see them doing that. I'm going there. It could change. I might, maybe the next video I'll come up with some other idea. I don't have my predictions written down. I would mention I do have written down the player's name, teams interested in him or rumored to be interested in him, and then where he goes. And everything has its own color. I'm like Keith Hernandez. We're all different colors. I got a blue pen, which represents the player, the red pen, which is the rumor, and the black pen, which is over there. I don't forget it. Carlos Estevez, I've heard the Yankees today. And they could certainly use a closer. The Phillies, the Rangers, although it seems like the Rangers aren't interested in making any kind of moves. I would say the Oakland A's, but they're more like the ghetto homeless A's. It's more the Athletics, wherever the hell they're going. And the Blue Jays for Estevez. Where do I see him going? I can see him re-sign with the Phillies. Paul Goldschmidt. I've heard the Brewers, Arizona, Cubs, the Yankees, the Mets, and Houston. Houston should stay away from him because they had a disaster with Jose Abreu. I can see him going back to Arizona. Kyle Hendricks, if you don't know, signed with the Angels. Aroldis Chapman, who knows. Christian Walker, I've heard a bunch of teams on him. He will be the guy that makes out a contract. He'll be the second best first baseman on the market. And he has teams on him. We got the Mets, said the Yankees, Cubs, the Brewers, Detroit, Baltimore, and Houston. You can get him for a fairly reasonable price, a 3-year deal I could see with him. Where will he go? I see him going to Detroit. Detroit, like I said, they need to make a big move in free agency with a bat and with an arm, especially since they went to postseason this past year. Michael Conforto, where's he going to go? I got Seattle, Milwaukee, Texas. I don't think that's going to happen now. Pittsburgh, believe it or not. Toronto, and Kansas City. I say he goes to Seattle because he's from Oregon, and I see him going there. We got Ryan Yarbrough. I don't have anybody for him. Brandon Lowe. Tyler O'Neill. I've heard the Mets, the Baltimore, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers. Now, there's some names on here I can't even predict where they're going to go. They're not high-profile guys. Gio Urshela, Johan Moncada, Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin's an interesting case because he's had lousy numbers, but he pitches every 5 days. He's out there every 5 days. Justin Wilson, lefty, he knows where he's going to go. Jurickson Profar. He should just stay in San Diego. I've heard Kansas City with him, but he should stay in San Diego. That's my prediction. Sean Manaea. And all these moves that I predict, I could like double up on things. I don't know. Just sort of making a prediction. Sean Manaea, the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and he's got a qualifying offer. The Dodgers, the Rangers, I don't think that's happening. Boston, the Cubs. I haven't heard much about the Cubs. Even though Cody Bellinger, re-upped with them. Detroit, Houston, Toronto, and Baltimore. Now, he's going to be a tricky one because the Mets want him back. They like it here. Toronto's going to be aggressive. Baltimore's going to be aggressive. Boston's been very aggressive. They've been aggressive on him. I heard a lot from him since the season. I would say he re-signs with the Mets. Luis Severino. The Mets, Washington, Detroit, and the Yankees. I think he'll take the qualifying offer, and he has a qualifying offer. He will re-sign with the Mets. Keep an eye on Seattle Mariners ace Luis Castillo. That's a guy that could move this offseason that'll surprise everybody. And the rumor was at the general managers meetings that there was very, very busy trade talk. Hopefully we have a better winter meetings in a couple weeks. Unlike last year, it was a complete total dud. But keep an eye on Luis Castillo because they might move him to get some offense on that team. I've heard I put out to the Cubs, but he's a trade player. Teoscar Hernandez. I've heard the Mets, the Reds, believe it or not, the Dodgers going back there, Kansas City, San Francisco, Boston, Atlanta, and San Diego. I would say that he'll sign with the Braves. That's what I think. Brent Rooker, he's not getting moved. Of course, his name out for the moment. Lieber Torres, where's he going to go? Seattle, or Detroit, Toronto, and believe it or not, back to the Yankees. Yankee fans hate him. They would have him mutiny. I would say that he will go to Detroit. They love bringing in those bad infielders. Interestingly enough. Let me just cross something out. Sometimes I don't remember what I write on my list. Cross it out. Nathan Eovaldi. I've heard the Mets. I haven't heard them this week. The Yankees, and the Mets have been very aggressive with these free agents, by the way. Baltimore, San Francisco, Texas, and the Braves. That concerns me. Michael Wacha, he re-signed with Kansas City. Cross him off. And on future videos, we'll talk about these players again. Tanner Scott, I've heard Boston, Toronto, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Yankees. Let's see where he will go. I say the Phillies. Jacob deGrom, we've heard him possibly be moved. Nobody's going to want him with that money. And he's always hurt. I've heard the Mets, the Yankees, and Baltimore. I did a video on him a couple weeks ago. I don't think he's getting moved. Travis d'Arnaud. I've heard Boston. With him. This was today. UC Kikuchi. I've heard Baltimore, the Mets, and Detroit. I see Travis d'Arnaud going to Boston. When he got released, which was a surprise, not released, but he didn't get his qualifying offer picked up by or his option picked up by the Braves. It was a surprise to everybody. I thought maybe the Mets would be interested in bringing him back, but according to Mets president of baseball operations, Dave Stearns, he's interested in bringing back the Mets catching tandem of Luis Torrens and Francisco Alvarez. UC Kikuchi. I've heard Baltimore, the Mets, and Detroit. Jeff Hoffman, the reliever. I've heard Toronto, Boston, Angels, the Ghetto A's, the Mets, and the Yankees. Let me cross this out. I'm finding a lot of redundancy here. Sorry, folks. Clay Holmes. I've heard the Mets, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Boston, Kansas City. Matthew Boyd. Cleveland, St. Louis, the Mets, and the A's. Josh Peterson. I've heard the Mets, Toronto, Arizona. Jesse Winker. I've only heard the Mets. Though not really, that's more of a fan thing, I think, at this point. Andrew Haney, I've heard San Francisco, the Ghetto A's, Texas, Washington. Frankie Montas, I've heard the Ghetto A's going back there. I guess it's a different neighborhood. There's no problem doing that. Cleveland, San Diego, and San Francisco. Nick Pivetta has a qualifying offer from the Red Sox. I've heard the Reds and the Mets. The Mets have put that they kind of could use another starter, and he's kind of a guy that's on the upswing. Another guy with qualifying offer which surprised a lot of people, and that's Nick Martinez, who's been a reliever up until last year with the Reds. He would be a very good pitcher for any team. These two names will be names to keep an eye on. Those are guys that could take a major step forward in their careers. And with the Martinez, I put the Mets and him going back to Cincinnati because of the qualifying offer. AJ Minter, I've heard the Mets, the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Phillies. Now I got a bunch of Japanese players here, all pitchers. Hopefully I can read it, my handwriting. Tomoyoki Sugano. I've heard the Texas Rangers, the Angels, the Brewers, and the Mets. Roki Sasaki, you know about him. And Sugano's a right-handed pitcher, but Sasaki's a right-handed pitcher for the Dodgers prominently. The Mets scouted him this past year. Dave Stearns went to go watch him. The Yankees, the Phillies, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, and Toronto. And he's not going to get posted. What's going to happen with him is he will be concerned with any team but under the international law, international rules. So he won't be able to sign until, I guess, January 15th. So it's a couple months. So we'll be talking about him here and there. Shinos, let me see how I get his name right. Shinozuki Okasarara. I've heard Milwaukee, and he's a lefty. San Diego, the Mets, Cleveland, and the A's. Hopefully once I hear his name, I'll be able to pronounce it properly. Shinozuki Ogasawara. You need to subscribe just to hear me pronounce some of these Japanese names. It's embarrassing. You miss the days of Kode sang in Hideo Nomo, I'll tell you that much. But anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I'll keep you updated as we go along. And thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. Let me know what you think about where all these players are going, and I'll see you later.